with one of the rock world's most extraordinary personalities, David Bowie. He talks to us in New York about his career and his forthcoming return to Britain. I'm joined tonight...
Now an exclusive British television interview with the rock superstar whose hallmark is normally to maintain a strange, even otherworldly aloofness. David Bowie. It's now 7 years since Bowie last did a concert tour and over 2 years since his last album. But yesterday in New York he announced not only a new recording deal but plans for a world tour later this year which will include Britain. David Bowie is perhaps one of the most bizarre pop singers Britain's ever produced. He shot to fame with the single Space Oddity about Major Tom, an astronaut who decided to stay out in space. Bowie has always taken the role of strange or alien characters, worn his hair bright orange and painted his face. Some say he was the very first punk. Well, recently David Bowie has been looking sleeker and has developed an acting career on stage and screen that's left his fans feeling that his music has been rather neglected. Tom Brooks spoke to Bowie in New York. Here he comes now.
In the past, David Bowie hasn't been particularly at ease with the press, but yesterday he stood happy and relaxed before a barrage of New York reporters. With him was a representative from his new record company. After the press conference, we talked about his forthcoming world tour. Will you be performing a lot of concerts in Britain?
Yeah, an awful lot. I wish I could tell you exactly when, but over the next couple of weeks, I'll be sorting out which areas of the world we'll be doing when. But quite definitely England, and fairly extensively, yeah.
It's 7 years since you last went on tour.
Yes.
What has made you decide to go on tour again?
Well, put it another way, the reason I stopped doing it is that I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And I needed those 7 years to really develop the kind of enthusiasm that makes you want to go out and entertain and play the guitar and all that.
What has made you enthusiastic again, then?
I guess that it suddenly occurred to me that there's a lot of albums that I've never performed on stage because I've been away from it, and it felt like a really exciting way of doing something on stage again, is to do a lot of the stuff that I haven't done for so long, plus the new album, which is built for speed.
Your live performances in the past have always visually been very exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have anything special planned for this new tour?
Well, I'll have a go at something, yeah.
Can you give us any idea at all? You've just announced that you're going to have a new record album which will be out later on in the year. What is this going to sound like?
I've tried to produce something that's warmer and more humanistic than anything that I've done for a long time. Less emphasis on the nihilistic kind of statement and the icy, one-dimensional kind of thing that I've been working with over the last few years.
I wonder if we could move on a bit now to talk about your acting. One thing I've noticed is that you always seem to play the part of human freaks, the elephant man, the man who fell to earth. Is there a reason why you do this?
Why do you do this, Mr. Bowie? I think that I don't know about freaks. The last thing that I've just done is just a troubled man, which is, again, it's the warmest role I guess I've played so far. I think the other things came about because an awful lot of the scripts that I was offered, as you can imagine, were green spacemen who played guitars, and of those, the very best were the ones who had at least very interesting, if off-the-wall kind of characters. So I took advantage of those and accepted those as roles because at least they had that inherent interest. But the kind of directors, I generally choose films by the director first, and then the role is secondary. And the interesting directors that I've picked have always had very oddball characters that they wanted me to work in.
I know that you travel around the world a lot. You live in Switzerland, you spend a lot of time here in New York, and in Berlin too. But where for you is home?
I keep having to refer to that. I'm not. It doesn't really occur to me that I've got a home per se. By the nature of this last year, I've been constantly traveling from America back to Rarotonga in the South Pacific, and then over to Japan, and then through Europe and back to America again. And as each year becomes that, it's very hard to actually put a handle on a place, I guess, when I finally decide I want a home, per se, I'll sort of get down to deciding where it should be, but I'm quite content with travelling at the moment.
Tell me, is there any chance that you would ever go back and live in the place where you were born, Brixton in South London?
Why?
Is that important to you, where you come from?
Yeah, but once you leave home, I think the adage goes, it really doesn't occur to me to go back. When you mean live, you mean go and live there for the rest of one's life. It wouldn't occur to me to live anywhere for the rest of my life.
David Bowie talking to us in New York.